Alright guys, it's Matt from Jackal Motorsports, and today I'm going to give you a short video on how to install your Jackal Motorsports intake that we just released. So what you're going to get in your package is this wall. This one is a little beat up because it's been in and out of the vehicle quite a few times for testing and whatnot, but you're going to get it. It's going to have all the seals on it, including this one. You're going to get a vibrant coupler with 2 clamps. This one's obviously been on the car for a little while. You get a CTS turbo air filter and a piece of aluminum pipe that's 4 inches long by 3.5 to match the diameter of the mass air. So basically how you're going to want to start is you're going to want to remove your air box completely, and then the 2 grommets that are down here, as well as that duct that goes right here. Now, the reason for needing to have an auxiliary radiator delete for this modification is because normally a hose comes from here and goes over this frame rail down here to the radiator that is normally here. Now, that poses 2 problems because, number 1, the shield can't go all the way over here like it needs to because it has to tuck right up against here, and there's no room with that hose. And number 2, you would have a radiator here, which would radiate heat up to this area where the filter is. So the whole point of this is to have cool air in this area. Now I have a duct through my fog light up to right here that does flow a decent amount of air, but regardless, if there is no radiator here, you're gonna get fresh air up here in the little area where the air filter sits. So we're gonna start by installing this, and I'm gonna have to put the phone down because this is very tough to get in. It slides in backwards, down along the frame rail, in between this hose and the headlight. So I'm gonna put the phone down right here. I might not have much good of a view, but you'll hear me struggling. So you're gonna slide it in there. I do like to put the coupler on first. And you're gonna move the hose over a little bit. Get it down there. And now it's in. So I have it snapped in. As you can see, it rides along the edge there, and it goes back here, which is a little tough to tuck in. And then this tucks along the headlight, leaves you a little bit of room for this wire, which goes to the airbag, and it pushes this hose over a little bit. So this sits in here nice and snug, and you can see how tight it is to this coupler. You can move this coupler up and down, more so with the MBRP MAF, which I have. On the stock MAF, you don't really have much room, but you can slide the pipe further in or out if you need to. So the next thing I'm going to do is, now that that's in place, is you take your pipe and you come through here. And I'm going to put the phone down again because the view's right there. And we're going to get the pipe through. Now this is very snug, like I said, and a good attempt to keep the heat out. So now that that's in there, you can play with how much is in and out to make it fit better for your car. But you can see how tight this is fully around the pipe. Keeps the hot air over here, cooler over here. Next thing, the easiest way I've found to get the air filter in is to push this all the way in. Try and do this one-handed. Push that all the way in, get the air filter down, and kind of get it in place. I have to move this. And then usually I'll pull this out a little bit, just so you can get it over it. And then pop the air filter in. I'm gonna pull a little bit more out. There we go. So it's on. I'm just gonna pop my headlight cover out. Which happens. I'll deal with that later. Oh, there we go, never mind. All right, so you have this in place. You can play with how much pipe is this way, move your filter so it fits right. And you can play with it so it doesn't click that open. This fits basically the same for the B6, B7. And all you really need to do now is tighten the clamps. And then with the grommet, you can use both. I like to just use the front one because the back gets tucked very far over. Because you want to find the hole where the grommet goes. The car's actually pretty hot because I just drove it, but down here, and that's hot. Okay, and push that all the way in. So that's all the way in there, and that will help keep the wall over. So that's how it looks. And what this does here is it seals right against the, as you can see right here, it seals pretty good against the hood. With this in, it will bend a little bit. This is 3/16 thick, high temp HDPE. I've tested a couple thicknesses. I've also tested metal. This is the easiest thing to get in that does reflect heat properly. You can move these hoses out of the way. I usually pull it out of that. But that's basically it. So this is in, and it's not going anywhere. And this does work with the stock MAF and the MBRP. If you'd like, you can use the heat tape on the back of this. It will help reflect some heat. But I actually removed this just to do this install video. I did just drive about an hour, and this is still a little warm, and this side is pretty cold. I do recommend the 034 inlet. It obviously looks much better than the factory one. The 034 Motorsports makes a good product with this. This does work with the stock inlet as well. So you can take your pick on how you want to make that look. But this is the overall installation of the intake. And as you can see, it seals this whole area off here pretty well. I wouldn't say 100%, but in the high 90s. And then you get your fresh air from down here right to the filter. And again, this will not work unless you remove the auxiliary radiator. Both because of the heat and because of the hose that wouldn't allow this to fit. We do offer as an option the secondary air filter from CTS. If you removed your auxiliary radiator and not your secondary air, you would have a little hose, and that filter plugs right into it. You can zip tie it somewhere down there if you want, but most people that remove the radiator also remove the pump, so you don't need to worry about any of that. And that's about it, guys. Enjoy.